Hello and welcome to my assessment 2 on story listening. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work, play and meet, the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation, and acknowledge the elders past, present and emerging. My First Nation story is My Place by Sally Morgan. I chose this story because I have read the book in the past and it has really resonated with me ever since. In this story, Sally talks of her childhood growing up in Perth, WA. She begins her story with the telling of how her family was treated, the death of her father, the denial of her heritage, and her thoughts on school, having an active dislike of schooling and routines herein. Morgan, 1987, page 19. Sally tells of living as a poor family, and this resonated with me as I remember how hard my mother worked to put food on the table, often going hungry herself. The story really moved me as Sally discusses her trials in life, her understanding of her place in the world, her understanding of her people, and the lack of compassion she was shown while growing up in a world that she felt she didn't quite fit into. It made me think about the children I engage with daily and how I can listen to them using Dadiri, Ungunmed Bauman 2002, and help them understand who they are and why they are here. As I listened to Sally tell her story, I thought of other First Nations peoples and their different and harrowing stories of growing up in the time of the colonisation of Australia. It made me yearn for an understanding of what they went through and how I could make amends for what happened to them. In 2004, I was lucky enough to go on my school trip through Central Australia, where I learnt so much culture of the heritage of a First Nations people. So that really helped me reflect on what I had listened to in Sally Morgan's book. While exploring the readings, I've been deep in thought about how I practice listening while teaching. It has been an eye-opening experience as I realise that there are times when I'm not actually listening, that I'm doing a disservice to the educators and children. We are lucky to live in a country that is so culturally diverse and full of different history, but when it comes to understanding and listening to this diversity, I'm ashamed to say that I don't really listen. Therefore, I'm not using an inclusive practice. However, this is not to say that I'm a bad teacher. I just need more practice. By understanding how to actively and deeply listen to the children in my care, I can create a more inclusive environment, especially when it comes to storytelling and story listening. When a child is telling a story, it is not just about what that they want to be heard, it's about being understood. And with so many diverse voices in the setting, it has become paramount that these voices are recognised and represented. Duncan, 2021. This difficulty has led me down a path of better understanding the need for reconciliation, not just with First Nations peoples, but with all peoples, to ensure I am listening to all stories being told by people and to advocate for better inclusive practices for all. In doing so, I am not only understanding the need to listen, but I'm also acknowledging the history of my own story alongside that of others. ECA 2014.